Grace, it's Sunday, June 29th. Great to have you with us here on CTV News Channel. Let's start by getting you caught up with the latest on those trade talks between Canada and the U.S. Those now suspended trade talks, according to U.S. President Donald Trump, who repeated his suggestion today that Canada become the 51st state. This is just 2 days after saying that trade talks between the two countries have ended. Here are some of Trump's latest comments in an interview with Fox News today.
Canada is a very tough country to deal with, I will say that.
But
and I love Canada.
You have USMCA in place.
I know, but
You'll have to deal with it.
USMCA is no good if they cheat.
What does that mean?
Well, there's been things going on that we don't like, and things going on where they took advantage. And hopefully we'll be fine with Canada. I love Canada. Frankly, Canada should be the 51st state, okay? It really should, because Canada relies entirely on the United States. We don't rely on Canada.
And so it was just on Friday that Trump announced an end to the current trade talks between the long-standing allies, plunging Canada's relationship with the U.S. into further uncertainty. But Canadian officials do tell CTV News this weekend that work is underway behind the scenes to address what they call a complicated situation in the hope that talks can resume between Ottawa and Washington. Joining us now is Peter MacKay, former Foreign Affairs Minister. Mr. MacKay, great to have you along with us. Thank you for making some time this weekend.
My pleasure, Tony. Nice to be with you.
You as well. And I just wonder, you know, in your expertise and in your insight, what you make of the situation that we find ourselves in right now. Is this typically the kind of thing that would be happening in trade talks, but just that we're hearing about it all in real time now, so everything seems more ramped up? What's your take?
Well, perhaps a little from column A, a little from column B, but I don't think anything is regular when it comes to dealing with President Donald J. Trump. And it's sort of new day, new threat. It ebbs and flows, but we're now in a very difficult situation with respect to trade talks being terminated, according to the president. And in spite of the fact that there may be some further back channeling and discussions going on with different departments, this is going to be a tough one because the finance minister said yesterday that they're not backing off. The prime minister didn't really address it today in terms of what, if any, capitulation may happen on this digital service tax. And this is big dollars. Let's not forget, we're talking somewhere in the range of $2 billion that become due as of Monday. And another, looking at it down the road, $7 billion coming into the federal coffers over 5 years. These are big numbers.
Big numbers, and I mean, we're sitting 6 hours away now from the deadline where that is supposed to be due. So does this remain a card that Canada can use at this point?
Well, not if talks are not happening, and not if the president follows through on further threats with respect to supply management, which is also a very dicey issue that goes back many years and was part of the negotiations of the last Canada-U.S.-Mexico trade agreement, and was always a bone of contention with the United States amongst other issues, including steel and aluminum. So we're in a tough spot. We appear to be kind of backed into a corner, and to mix metaphors, we've been talking elbows up. The president's now dropped the gloves. And I'm not sure what the prime minister can or plans to do next, but getting back to the table is job one, and trying to find a way that will perhaps alleviate this as being a bar on further discussions has to be what the prime minister attempts to do through direct intervention.
And Mr. MacKay, our Jeremy Sharon noting earlier today with us, the Prime Minister was not in Toronto at the Pride Parade, a major celebration, a major festival, where you do see a lot of political leaders showing up today. What do you suppose is going on behind the scenes now on this long weekend in the Prime Minister's office?
Well, on the eve of Canada Day, this has very damaging, far-reaching implications. I suspect that Minister LeBlanc, who seems to be the chief negotiator thus far, will be engaging with his counterparts. And look, just for context, there are similar taxes in Europe. There are similar taxes that, in fact, could affect Canadian companies, digital companies. And so whether there will be a revisitation or, as I said, a backing off remains to be seen. But there's a lot of scrambling going on, I suspect, in several departments in Ottawa. The lights will be on late. And I know this issue is not going away anytime soon. You'll recall Prime Minister Carney said that we were hopefully going to be able to iron out some of these difficulties in 30 days. That was the last word coming out of Kananaskis at the G7. This appears to kick that further down the road by some distance.
Well, and it feels as though we have simultaneous multiple deadlines coming up here, whether it be the digital services tax, the broader U.S. tariff approach in general, that 30-day one you mentioned that was mentioned at Kananaskis. What are you looking for the next big development here to happen?
Well, Tony, again, for context, this prime minister, both during the election and since, has made some eye-watering promises in terms of spending commitments, whether to the military, which I'm very much in favor of, don't get me wrong, but how it's going to be paid for is the big question, remains the big question. No budget tabled in the Parliament. Parliament will soon be recessed for the summer. I'm not sure that Canada is going to be able to get out of this situation that we're in anytime soon. And I suspect that you may see ministers going to ground, that is, not talking openly or transparently about how they're going to get out of this. And, there's a clear addiction to taxpayers' money when it comes to this government. This complicates things even further. Generating revenue through further tax is something that they're very familiar with. I'm not sure how they're going to do it when you have a behemoth like the United States and the president really saying, we're not going to discuss this major issue with you until you make a commitment to remove this digital services tax. So they're butting heads. They seem to be at an impasse that isn't going to be easy to get past. Let's stay tuned. We'll see what the president tweets next.
Going to be a busy summer, I think. Peter MacKay, former Foreign Affairs Minister, on this unprecedented situation with Canada-U.S. relations. Appreciate your insight, Mr. MacKay. Thank you.